Can you imagine a world where you could go from concert to concert in the blink of an eye, or that you could easily travel from one country to another without even having to take a plane? Well, that's the promise the Metaverse holds, or at least that's what it wants to be. But can it really fulfill these promises, or is it all just a bunch of buzzwords and hype? Well, we've actually already seen examples of what the Metaverse could be, and if it keeps catching on, it could definitely change the world of entertainment and travel as we know it. Welcome to Alux. The Metaverse as we know it. Let's have a short recap of what the Metaverse is. If you asked Mark Zuckerberg or Satya Nadella about it, you would hear a lot of buzzwords and unclear ideas. A simple way to look at the Metaverse is as a combination of shared virtual and physical spaces. This would be accompanied by combining virtual reality, augmented reality, and the persistent virtual spaces that interconnect with each other. Can you imagine that? It's a little bit like Oasis from the book and movie Ready Player One, except there it was a purely virtual experience. Can you imagine such a thing? Well, that's kind of the idea. While many claim the Metaverse is already here, in reality, what we've known to this point is not exactly what the Metaverse is supposed to be. At least not entirely. We have several companies that offer persistent virtual spaces, and some that use a combination of AR and VR to create hybrid virtual and physical metaverses. But all in all, there's very little interconnection between them. And yet, we don't need to reach the point where these spaces are connected to each other before they can have a major impact in our industries. Already, many industries are seeing really cool experiments with metaverses and virtual spaces. Let's start with the entertainment industry. The most obvious use for the Metaverse in the entertainment industry is that of video games. After all, persistent virtual spaces have been a mainstay in this industry for years, and VR first started to gain a foothold here as well. In fact, many of the earliest metaverses came from video games, with games like Roblox serving up as experiments for the technology. But even more curiously, it's video games that have shown us what the Metaverse could be in other entertainment industries. Take concerts, for example. Games like Fortnite and Roblox have partnered with big-time artists to offer unique musical experiences unlike any others. We're talking about fantasy worlds where the artists are giants towering over the crowd, and where concerts become something more like a theme park with outlandish attractions, vibrant colors, and even explosions. Some of the artists that performed in these virtual concerts included the likes of Ariana Grande, DJ Marshmello, Travis Scott, and Lil Nas X. The first such event was Marshmello's in Fortnite, which had an attendance of 10.7 million players. Taking advantage of the unique space of the video game, the players were allowed to fly during his rendition of the song I Can Fly. Next, in 2020, Travis Scott's concert was attended by 27.7 million unique users, of which 12.3 million were concurrent. The YouTube video alone has over 179 million views. During his presentation, the sky became a vortex of colors and effects, with fire raining from it at one point. Throughout this, Travis Scott was a singing and dancing giant while players enjoyed the concert. The most recent event was Ariana Grande's 2021 Rift Tour in Fortnite, the first concert of the diva in nearly 2 years. Instead of just performing for the players, they transformed the event into a unique experience where they traveled across dimensions while Ariana sang, again as a giant. The streams for the songs she sang during these concerts rose by 123% in that time, and some of the songs she sang from other artists saw as much as a 663% increase in streaming. It's estimated that she got $20 million in profit thanks to this event. And after these concerts, the sales and popularity of their records skyrocketed. Scott netted himself a nice $20 million just from sales of in-game accessories and outfits that were licensed to him. Another thing that video games pioneered is the idea of virtual cinemas. Fortnite offers virtual showings of Inception, The Prestige, and Batman Begins, but why not take it a step further? You could have virtual productions of movies and theater performed live in the Metaverse. Can you imagine an opera or a musical done live with the same effects you can see in a movie? Now that would be something. But the Metaverse can also work with other types of events, like conventions or festivals. One of the biggest problems with traditional fan conventions, like Comic-Con, is the limited amount of space. And on top of that, we've seen how much events like these were affected due to COVID-19. But none of that would be a problem if these events were held in the Metaverse instead. With virtual conventions, you could have as many fans there as you wanted. You could also open up those events to fans in other countries that traditionally don't get access to them, truly uniting the fandom all over the world. In fact, Sundance recently experimented with this when they allowed virtual attendance to their festival. Attendees could watch movies virtually while moving around the Metaverse set up for the event. They had parties, panels, and VR movie theaters. They also showed a documentary filmed entirely within the VR chat platform called We Met in Virtual Reality. And while there's something to be said for having that physical environment, with the new normal we're seeing after COVID, we think it's very likely that we'll see more and more adoption of virtual spaces for concerts and movies. You could even have virtual reality theme parks, which is something that companies are betting on. With virtual theme parks, you don't have the risks that normally come up with these spaces. Plus, you can make the attractions much bigger, more complex, and outlandish. You could take a roller coaster around the moon, okay? And one major benefit the Metaverse adds to the theme park industry is they could get access to much wider clientele, as they wouldn't be restricted by location or travel distance anymore. One company that's betting on VR theme parks is Walt Disney. They announced in 2020 they intend to build one such Metaverse park and reiterated their intentions during an investors' call in 2021. Another entertainment industry that will probably evolve around the Metaverse is that of sports. With a virtual reality in the Metaverse, you could watch a game from any angle you wanted and even interact with the stars afterward. You wouldn't need to spend thousands of dollars for front seats anymore. We could even see entirely new sports develop inside the Metaverse where the limitations of our world are not relevant. Ever wanted to play Quidditch in real life? Well, in the Metaverse, you could. But the entertainment industry isn't the only one taking advantage of what the Metaverse can offer. A lot of interesting projects are being done in the traveling and hospitality industries. Picture this: you're walking around a secluded forest, just experiencing the environment. Suddenly, with just a thought, you're transported to the bustling streets of Paris. But perhaps you'd prefer something more extravagant. Alright, we'll travel back or forward in time, or even to a far-off planet in the galaxy. That's what the Metaverse could do for our traveling industry. If you think the idea of these virtual experiences replacing our current travel is too far-fetched, then you might be wrong. However, this is a numbers game. If we opened up traveling to the masses by way of virtual travel, far more people would be able to see corners of the world they normally would only dream of. In fact, there are many virtual tours and travel experiences you can participate in. You can see the entire collection of the Louvre in Paris. You could also take a virtual tour around Yosemite National Park in the US, or take a virtual 360-degree tour of Austria. You could even visit the Inca citadel of Machu Picchu. But this expands beyond just traveling. The business of hotels and even Airbnbs can be boosted by the adoption of Metaverse technologies as well. Think about it, your guests could look around at the spaces they're trying to rent for a more optimized experience. Customers could check out the room's size and features through 3D hotel tours, which could increase interest and booking rates. In fact, many hotels have started to offer 360-degree videos of their spaces as a form of guided virtual tours. But imagine one where you could control the experience entirely yourself. We could even see entirely virtual hotels in the future. Though maybe that last one is a little bit of a stretch. But you know what isn't a stretch? Entirely virtual meetings. Isn't it kind of a pain in the ass to travel to a different city just for a business meeting? Sure, you've got Zoom, but with the Metaverse, you could actually meet virtually in person. But now let's take a look at the adoption problem. Because the Metaverse mostly relies on access to VR and AR glasses or other forms of technology, there is an adoption barrier that needs to be broken before it can really take off. While you can use your smartphone in some cases as a replacement for a VR or AR headset, they're only a taste of what the technology offers. For the Metaverse to really take off, access to VR and AR gadgets and glasses need to be more affordable and widespread. There's a reason why Meta, formerly Facebook, bought Oculus for $2 billion back in 2014. Perhaps they plan to start pushing for more affordable VR as a way to increase the user base for their own Metaverse projects. There's also the fact that for all their fanfare, virtual events still lack a certain je ne sais quoi that you can only get from a physical experience. In order for the industry to really boom, the technologies will have to be improved so attendees can be more engaged. Plus, even if we start to see more and more virtual events, travel, and adoption of the Metaverse strategies, it's not certain they will overtake the world as we know it. After all, plenty of us are still reading physical books. More dynamic video games, incredible concerts, and traveling all over the universe is just some of what the Metaverse could accomplish in the not-too-distant future. We've already seen many examples of virtual communities and technologies pushing us further into that potential future. Once the technology becomes affordable enough for everyone to use, we'll start to see more and more of these events and potential scenarios. But what do you think? Would you like concerts to be held in the Metaverse? Would you use it as a way to travel the world? Whether you find these ideas appealing or not, it's very likely that we'll see more of them in the future. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. And since you stuck with us until the end, of course you know we have a bonus for you. Warner Music Group reported they'll open a music-centered theme park in the Sandbox Metaverse, and it'll be called Warner Music Group Land, or WMG Land for short. Super creative, guys! The announcement was made just a few weeks ago at the end of January. These theme parks will feature special concerts, events, and other types of musical experiences from the roster of artists that work with the label, including Ed Sheeran, Camila Cabello, Jason Derulo, and Bruno Mars.